we're going to go to the MLB. And how about this team, the Pittsburgh Pirates? Where in the heck has this team been for the past?
In AAA.
They get Andrew McCutchen back. Andrew Maggie, that's a great. 5 years old. He's been in the minor leagues for like 11 years. He gets his first career hit. So the Pittsburgh Pirates, they're currently sitting at a record of 20-9, which is the best in the National League. Question I have for you: can they win the NL Central, and can they be a legitimate playoff contender?
I didn't want to believe in it, but the NL Central looks pretty wide open. I think that, Milwaukee's pitching's not as dominant as it usually is. They've dealt with some injuries themselves, and the St. Louis Cardinals look super lost. I think that maybe with Wainwright coming back or just having returned, that will give them a little bit of stability, but that team is really disappointing to me. So I'm all about the Pirates, man. That's one of my favorite stadiums. I love the colors, and it's really cool to see Andrew McCutchen back at PNC, patrolling, I guess, left field now and not center. But yeah, good for them. I'd love to see them, at least hang in it till the All-Star break. But they will have some business decisions to make to keep building this team for next year. I think they'll try to flip some guys like Carlos Santana, maybe a Connor Joe, that kind of thing. I don't know if they'll have the heart to trade Andrew McCutchen again, but I just don't see this team buying in as a seller. But if they're still leading the division at the All-Star break, I think they have to. I mean, it's baseball. Yeah. You got to go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, whenever at the All-Star break, if they're still leading that NL Central. They're leading it right now, a couple of games. The Milwaukee Brewers are also off to a good start as well. It's crazy to me to think that the Cardinals are sitting in last place. That was one of my teams. I think that was going to actually win the division. Cubs have shown some flashes as well with their new signings with Dansby Swanson and Cody Bellinger as well. But yeah, if the Pirates are in contention the All-Star break, I would not be shocked if this team tries to buy in and go for NL Central crown, because why not? I mean, the Pirates door is going to be open. I mean, this year you're going to have the number one overall pick. You're going to get Dylan Cruz in there. He'll probably spend like a year or two in the minors and be right there with, Andrew McCutchen. He's probably going to be gone by the time that Cruz is there. So Cruz is pretty much going to take McCutchen's role. But yeah, it just feels right to see Andrew McCutchen back at PNC Park after he spent a couple years, on both teams. The Phillies was one of his teams that he spent on as well. But it's definitely good to see him back. So we'll see if Pittsburgh can stick around. I ultimately think that the Brewers will ultimately take over, especially with their pitching staff. But I just think that the Pirates are a great story. You love to see it. A great story like this in MLB, one of these bottom teams that have been, the Pirates have been one of the worst teams in baseball, and all of a sudden it could quick like that. We saw it in the 2020 season with the Marlins. They went all the way into the playoffs, and no one really thought that they could do it, especially with the young core. And you can really have some similarities with this Pittsburgh Pirate team. I think that they have a lot of young players, and maybe they're starting to figure out how to balance it out. O'Neal Cruz isn't even healthy right now. So once you get him back,
that's crazy. That's their star player.
Yeah. So once you get him back, who knows? The world could be there. So, the NL Central is wide open for them to take. So honestly, if you're right there in it, go be buyers and don't be sellers this year. Try and go for it, because that's the beauty of baseball. You don't have to be the best team in baseball and have a superstar team. Whenever you're playing hot at the right time, you can go on to win the World Series, and you can pretty much be a Cinderella story yourself. So go ahead and ride that ship all the way to the playoffs. I'm rooting for you.
Hey, the Braves did it. The Braves were projected to get last in their division, 5 or 6 years ago. And now they've won the division every year since. So sometimes you just have that next young wave of players come out of nowhere and get it done. I mean, it's cool that McCutchen's back for the ride, though.
Yeah, absolutely.